So the honest truth is, you're not born an alcoholic, you become one. Listen to that again. You're not born an alcoholic, you become one. And let me explain what I mean and share with you the research that gives me the confidence to discuss this and really own that statement. So listen to the end, have a look in the comments. I'm going to quote some of the research that's going to give you the data, and then you can make the decision whether. Now, alcohol is unquestionably bad for you. It is a toxin, it's a carcinogenic. I advise that you stop drinking as a health professional. But if you want the choice, you need to get all the information and make the decision yourself. Whether it's too soon, too late to make that choice, whether too many of the factors you've ticked them all off and the only other option is sobriety, or whether you have listened to your intuition, you've caught the signs early, and you can choose a different path. So let's talk about how alcoholism is not something that you're born into. Now, there's a big misconception that you are born an alcoholic, because many people start drinking very early, and they know from that first drink that for them, and their reality, I'm not denying their reality, is that it's something they've had since they were very young. If alcoholism is in your family, people tend to think that there's a gene for it. There is no gene for alcoholism, but there are genes that predetermine that you have a likelihood of becoming an alcoholic. But the key things that actually make you an alcoholic are two primary things. So I'm going to give you an example. So it's like a gun, and you're filling it up with ammunition. So the gun, you need to have, to be an alcoholic, you need to be a highly sensitive person, and you need to have complex trauma. Those two are going to mean you're going to have some type of addictive behaviors, some type of pathological self-soothing. Now, it depends on how sensitive you are, how bad the trauma is, how far along that spectrum that you are. There are things that are completely out of your control and things that are in your control. The things that are completely out of your control are what happens before you were born. So all the complex childhood trauma that comes down the family line, that, like for me, my example, I was the squeaky wheel for all of this unprocessed complex trauma. So there's what comes in genetically that gives you the predisposition to it, but that doesn't mean that you're an alcoholic, and you can still not be one. Then there's the childhood trauma. So whether it's verbal, sexual, physical, or an absence of your core emotional needs being met, one of the most important things is you get support around that. Because trauma is not actually the event, but it's how our nervous system deals with it. So if you were taught to grieve, to feel your emotions in full, to move through those things, you can now, as a child, you probably won't have that chance. So hopefully you have aunties, uncles, psychologists, other people that can help you process those emotions. If you're a parent, if you're a single parent, if you're doing it with very little support, the best thing you can do for your child is give them extra levels of support to get better at feeling their emotions. Because that's ultimately what pathological self-soothing and addictive behaviors and addiction to chemical is the pathological self-soothing and numbing, dumbing, and distracting of those pains of not having this core emotional safety. So you want to make sure that ideally we have, in an ideal world, we have less complex childhood trauma, or we have more support around it. Now, the things that are really under your control are the things that when your body starts telling you that you want to numb, dumb, distract, that pathological self-soothing drink chemical process is helping you escape, and you're starting to develop habits which become strong neurological pathways that you either have to abandon and build new ones, or they get deeper and deeper, and the only other way of not becoming like a drug addict or an alcoholic is to stop cold turkey, because you need new neural pathways and a new relationship with your nervous system. But if we're still in those early days where you're getting the signs, you're hearing from people that there's a problem with your drinking, what you can do at this stage is, firstly, again, there's a higher propensity to become an alcoholic if you start drinking at an early age. So ideally, and again, this is going to be more with parents, the longer you can hold it off in terms of the brain developing, the synapses developing, to after 21 is ideal. But the longer you can push off that first drink, the longer you can push off heavy usage, and the least heavy usage that's possible is better, because there is alcohol abuse and there is alcoholism. And again, quote, look at the DSM-5, the spectrum, how the neurology changes. But you can be someone who just has a period in life where you rely on alcohol. You drink to blackout, you drink too much, unquestionably drinking too much. It's half a bottle a night, of booze. It's a bottle of wine a night. It's way too much. But if you don't have complex childhood trauma, if you are not a highly sensitive person, there's a chance that you can actually put down the drink and drug. Ideally put it down for good, because it's not healthy for you. But you'll have the chance to drink or drug on occasion if you are able to do some of the inner work. But I want to make a really, really important disclaimer here, because a mistake that I made was I thought, I'll understand why I drink and drug so much, and to the point, mainly drinking, to the point that it's a problem. I will resolve those core internal issues, what happened in my formative years, memories that had been suppressed, by the way, until I started to look at it. I thought I'd had a perfect childhood. I'm going to work through those demons as I thought about at the time, and I'm going to overcome that darkness, and then I can drink like a normal person. It doesn't work like that. If you have already established such a way of drinking so heavily to numb, dumb, and distract that you're blacking out all the time, you do have all of those factors which you can heal from, but you can't change. I'm going to create a whole bunch of different videos, and those are going to be around if you're sober curious and you want to slow down or stop, what the options are, or if you're like me, you missed those warning signs, you went way past, you didn't get off the train, you went express to alcoholism, what you need to do to build the new neural pathways, which takes about a year at least, and new relationship with your nervous system, how you need to get natural dopamine highs. So there is a skill and there is an art, because it's a huge level of behavioral change. But if you're somebody who is still in those formative years, you need to know that you weren't born an alcoholic, but you may have a predisposition to being an alcoholic. And one of the things that I will tell you right now is, and these are the key steps, if you think you have a problem with alcohol now, go and see a specialist. Go and see a clinical psychologist. Go and see an addiction specialist. If you can't listen to every video on here, read every one of Gabor Mate's books. You read every one of Dr. Reshi Joseph's books. Really learn about how you can do as much holistic healing as possible. But also you're most likely going to have to stop to drink. But get all the information first. Find out whether you are past that point of no return or not. And I'm going to do another video altogether on being past that point of no return. But just know that you weren't born an alcoholic. There is no gene for it. You have a predisposition to it because of certain factors. You may or may not. And then there are other things that speed up that journey. So if right now, if you want to do something today to lower your chances while you get further informed, what you need to do is actually, it's pretty simple. Drink less, because the more and more you drink, the more you're enforcing those neural pathways. Drink less often. For now, just try and get a handle on it. Because if you can't get a handle on your drinking, then the drinking has taken control of you, and we need to look at a different path forward, because not drinking's not an option. But let's explore both of those different pathways in depth, and you make the decision. Where do you want to make the investment? It's ultimately going to be investment in your own personal growth and understanding of who you are in context of the world, healing any childhood wounds, being able to get back out there, do what you want, live as a fully healed. It's a lifetime of journey, the personal depth and personal growth journey. But you will have the option of and more control over what you do, or you will have no option but to choose sobriety. For people who fall into category B, that is me, I'm glad how it's all worked out. Alcohol is a toxin, and it's carcinogenic, and I'd look 10 years older than I do if I drank, and it caused a lot of pain and chaos and destruction in my life, and I'm very glad that's over, and I'm glad I'm sober, and I'm glad I'm in a meaningful, purposeful work, and I nurture mind, body, and spirit, and I am super grateful for that. But the younger me, maybe 15 years ago, who was drinking normally, then started drinking too much, then like the complex childhood trauma came up, the band-aid was ripped off, then I became an alcoholic and lost all control. I want to talk to people who are at that stage as well, to give them the option. And again, I'd choose non-drinking, but I